if you have a dry mouth problem from any of your habits that you enjoy or fun activities, then you can get some mints at Walmart for it. So
I didn't get dry mouth after a while. I was conditioned to the marijuana.
you're conditioned. Yeah. Well,
hypothetically,
you cigarettes, alcohol dries your mouth. So there you go. Get yourself a nice wet mouth.
I don't know if I want to bring the conversation this way. Are companies like SmartMouth aware of the fact that their customer base might have these causes for for dry mouth? Like
every company is. Like weed is getting so normalized now, like, and marijuana use as a whole is getting so normalized that like every big company now is like, and
like
even small mid-sized
Bell's
companies.
Yeah. Right. Taco Bell makes jokes on their Twitter, don't they?
Taco Bell and Jack in the Box were kind of two of the first to do that stoner marketing shit where it's like him in a hazy basement, having a Junior Jack or whatever. But yeah, like it's gotten so normalized, and advertisers and people don't really care. Stations don't care for the most part. Like the only thing that's holding back a lot of companies is the FDA, especially with like CBD stuff, is that like companies don't know, like, is this going to be a dietary supplement? Is it going to be something that you just, what is it going to be basically? And so that's kind of like the holding pattern that a lot of companies are in now. But as soon as the FDA or Congress decides on things like that, like there's going to be a boon of those products. And then I assume as soon as pot is federally legal, 80% of those CBD companies are going to immediately switch to weed because that's where the money is, or it's THC products instead of CBD.
I have a bunch of buddies who are real estate developers who now have lateraled over into the weed growing industry, and they grow for dispensaries. They have a state-of-the-art facility to grow in, a warehouse, perfect temperature, humidity monitoring, watering systems. They had to not throw out, but they had an entire batch that they could not sell to dispensaries because it's too moldy. So their way to not lose their ass on this, and I guess they did everything correctly and they still fucked it up. So now they're just selling it all into the black market, which makes me realize that the weed we've all been smoking for years, if you smoke weed, almost certainly was covered in mold.
Oh.
Fuck it.
Is that bad?
I mean, mold can't be good for you. What kind of mold? Is it like black mold, the scary kind? That's the only kind I know that's bad for you.
I don't know. I'm not an authority on fungi.
I don't know either.
Well, that's why I get all mine from a dispensary.
Yeah, that's why Woody goes straight to the source.
Yes.
And grows his own.
I need your farm. Wacky tobacco, please. 2.
That would be the funniest.
Wacky tobacco cigarette.
Yeah, that would be the funniest evolution of your compound you have, Woody, is if they legalize it and you're just like, why the fuck not? And you just start growing your own pot.
I thought about that for a while, but I don't think that's how pot's grown anymore. Like it's my understanding that the people who smoke pot are, especially from the dispensary, they're such connoisseurs that you don't just plant it in the ground. You do it in a greenhouse with perfect lighting and perfect hydration and perfect everything, right?
I mean, like, that's always the pictures you see of like hydroponic stuff where they're like, oh, this is the highest tech. Like it's a science. We got computer chips deciding when the light comes on and when the water spritzes and that kind of stuff.
My dumbass would grow is the equivalent of like Mexican garbage weed in some plowed portion of a forest. They're hoping they don't get spotted.
It'd be like the opposite of growing your own garden. Like you go out there and get your own tomato and you're like, this is great. You go out there and get your own weed and like, this is some skunky shit. This is awful. This tastes terrible.
Yeah. Whereas like the professionally grown weed, I presume, is the good stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's the case.
I'm the wrong guy.
I saw a post on Twitter a few weeks ago and it was like, the only pot magazine I could think of is High Times, but it was probably something different because it's like the 70s. And I don't know if it's been around for that long, but it was pictures of like the best strains of 1973. And it looked like shit that you would pull out of a dustbuster. Like it looked horrible compared to like walking around a modern dispensary and seeing all the science and stuff. So like Kyle, you'd probably know that better. Like you know what I'm talking about? Like how
it's gotten much better, much stronger.
Which is probably a good thing. You don't need as much.
Yeah.
Or maybe your tolerance goes up so much you need more.
I don't know. You just go to stronger concentrates and stuff and then take a tolerance break and then rinse and repeat.
Can you ever reclaim those first 15 to 20 highs you had when you
Yeah.
were in high school, though?
Absolutely.
I don't think you can, where my mouth felt like a washing machine and I was seeing like dragons and fucking penguins moving around the room. I don't
You
think I
must
can
have
ever
had a
get
little
back
PCP or
Yeah,
something
you
in
sure
there.
that was pot?
I hope. I used to get so
You know, the good
fucking
marijuana,
stoned.
you put it in the spoon, you heat it
Yes.
up.
Hey, I shot mine intravenously. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Pot intravenously.
Yeah, if you take enough of a tolerance break, I'm sure if I smoked weed right now, I'd be bonkers high. I'd be like just spaced out, like time dilation, like the whole bit. Like I'd be gone.
Well, that's going to be, that Colorado life. You're going to be saving so much money. I guarantee you, when you finally move out there, you're going to walk in like a kid in a candy store with like $5,000 in your hand and be like, that one and that one and that and this and that. And then you're going to get home and take like one hit and just.
Yeah, you
Just
can only
zooted.
buy so much. You've got a limit you can buy. I'll get a medical card.
What about
as
your
well.
glaucoma?
Exactly. I'll get a medical card for PTSD or something like that, and I'll be good to go. Then that's how you get. So in Colorado, you've got like, in a lot of dispensaries, you've got 2 different rooms. You've got the main floor, which is recreational, and it's the bigger room. It's where like everybody who goes in wants some recreational weed can go and get it. But there's some limitations there for rec weed, and one of the things is the edibles all have to be, I think, 10 milligrams. Might be 5,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
10,
think it's 10. But over in the medical side, well, these people are dying. They're not fucking around with 10 milligrams. That's where they've got those crazy edibles that might be 100 milligrams or whatever. So once you've got your medical card, you can get access to some much more powerful stuff.
I'm going to need 100 milligram edibles because I have PTSD from getting caught for marijuana.
There you go. Yeah.
Life
Marijuana
sure is
gave me the
funny.
PTSD, and marijuana giveth the PTSD, and marijuana taketh it away.
that would
That's
be
Psalms, I believe.
yes, Proverbs actually. Yeah.
Corinthians.
I don't even know a different book.
Oh, come on. We got it going.
Oh,
John.
Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Songs. Song of Solomon.
But yeah, I think you can absolutely get that back. Whenever I would take like a month off, when I would come back and smoke again, it would be like, whoa, I have been away for quite some time.
See, I smoked weed during the Tony Ferguson fight for the first time in 4.5 months, and I felt great. Granted, I didn't smoke a lot, but I'm telling you, man, those first couple of times, those first handfuls of times that I smoked weed, I was in a different dimension, and I was there for about 5 hours.
Jesus Christ. Would you like joints, blunts, a bowl, a bong?
Remember when you first start smoking weed, you can't physically figure out how to operate the carb and the mouth hole and the lighter at the same time?
Frankly, no, but I'm
I couldn't. Maybe I was retarded, but I would blow out smoke and nothing would come out. Like on a frosty spring morning, more smoke would come out of my mouth than I was getting out of this pipe. And I would still just get blitzed out of my head.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never. I always smoked out of a bowl when I first started. They're cheap. You get a bowl for like $5, and you'd always get a hand blown bowl that's all psychedelic and pretty, and they could be works of art in their own right. But I never struggled with that. I packed that bitch full of sticky weed and smoked.
Even when you were like a sophomore in high school, how'd you learn this?
I didn't smoke until I was like 25.
Oh, see,
You
dude, I was doing it when I was 14. I didn't innately have that skill coming out of the womb.
I might have heard it wrong. Did you ask him joint versus blunt? Are they not the same thing?
No.
No, a blunt is like a cigarillo wrap, like a wrap made of tobacco. Right?
It's brown.
Tobacco-y?
Yeah,
So,
you're right.
so a joint is white. It's rolling papers that you would use to roll a cigarette, but we're rolling marijuana up in it, and it ends up being white and twisted off on either end.
Okay.
You can apply a filter if you want, but a blunt is what we've talked about before, where you split a cigarillo, get all the tobacco out, fill it up, and then rewrap it, licking it so it'll stick back together, and you smoke that. And the wrapper itself, that wrapping, just like with all cigars that I know of, is tobacco leaf.
Okay.
It's harsher. It's heavier. It's considered an upgrade from the joint.
Yeah. Yeah, but I've always preferred like just a bowl or a bong.
Yeah, it's frankly healthier. You don't get that paper smoke.
It
in
is
your lungs.
healthier. Well,
Yeah, I
it's
know.
not only that; it's cooling down what you're taking into your lungs. You know, it's not a superheater, especially if you got a nice water bong like that
Oh,
thing
that's a
we
good
were smoking in Colorado. Like, and if you fill the whole, I don't know what it's called, the pipe part of it up with ice. You know, as the smoke is being pulled up through it, it's cooling it down to a reasonable temperature rather than taking in something in your lungs.
With all that ice, we were taking like ice cold hits
Mm-hmm.
there, and that was pretty nice.
Both
Yeah.
of you guys are mistaken. The healthiest way to smoke weed is actually with a crushed Diet Pepsi can. And you pour it on a lead-based paint.
or
that
with
move.
an apple. Yeah.
Seems like a vape would be the thing, right? They have weed
Yeah.
vapes, right?
But God knows what that technology is too.
Yeah.
I don't like that. It's a different high, and it's a different hit. It's a different like sensation, like not just the high, but like the feeling of intaking into your lungs it's different. So I like just smoking flower out of a bong if I had my preference.
Yep.
But then I really prefer concentrate over anything.
What's concentrate? Is that dabs?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like
wax or-
wax and stuff.
yeah.
We
Which
had a
is-
guy. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
We had a guy in our crew. He was only in 2 videos. I recruited him. His name was Rat Dick Ralph, and that was a great nickname. I came up with that. Very proud. Sad to lose him. But this guy's thing was he would take the most concentrated dab hits throughout the day constantly. We have a video on my channel called Giving Him a Head Tattoo in Starbucks, or I Gave a Head Tattoo in Starbucks. This dude ate like 4 times the recommended dosage of shrooms, and we took him out the Joshua tree. Then we had one of our buddies dress up as the Grim Reaper and like come in from the distance closer and closer to give this kid probably the worst trip he's ever experienced. But he went nuts, and rumor has it beat up his girlfriend, probably after a particularly big dab. And now he's in county, so he's no longer a member of the crew.
Oh, that stinks. But
Good.
well, when he's out, is he welcome back?
Absolutely.
Good. So the future's not over for him.
No.
Taylor and I had the opposite reaction. Like he's now in county. I'm like, good. And Taylor's like, that stinks.
Yeah, the poor guy. I bet he had some good jokes. When he was, or at least you could laugh at him. while
Taylor's
he was
like,
eating
she
4 times.
lived.
Yeah,
Right?
she was fine, probably. You know, in a couple of years, they're gonna look back on this and laugh.
She was probably a writer. At least that's what she called herself.
Wait, you were on the new season of Rick and Morty? Yeah,
Yeah, I wish they'd legalize it, but I don't think it's anytime soon. Like we said earlier in the show, we beat that horse to death. But yeah, I'm a big fan.
We need some presidential candidates under 70. You know, movers
That would be
and
nice.
shakers, open-minded thinkers.
I don't care how old they are; it's their policy. You know,
I think
like
they're related is the other.
I want one that's so old that it's comical. I want them to. I want somebody they wheel out.
Well,
like
what
a
if they're
crypt
not
keeper.
old, but they were born disabled,
Infirmed.
like
Oh.
Down syndrome, or wait a
President
minute.
Mongo, what do you think about the crisis in Syria? Ah!
No, here it is. Our next president should have the same condition as Helen Keller. And it's really the translator who's in charge of everything, pretending that it's Helen Keller the whole time. She just signs on her hand. She said invade Syria. And you just run with it and all pretend that it was her.